If it's been a long time since you tuned in to Carolina People, you'll be glad you did this morning. Stay tuned to a special guest coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Conway Medical's Wellness and Fitness Center. We're focused on the pandemic flu, and we're visiting with one of the members of the Speakers Bureau on pandemic flu for the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross, Fran Long. Good morning, Fran.
Good morning, Greg. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming in. What about this Wellness and Fitness Center?
Isn't it great? It's great to see people getting fit.
It is amazing. Early on a Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to see this kind of crowd in here is tremendous.
Great.
Right here on the basketball court. Can you imagine when you woke up this morning, you'd be sitting on a basketball court in a green chair?
I did not think about that. Certainly did not. But it's great to be here.
It really is. We were with Joe Fisher on Monday from the March of Dimes, highlighting this Saturday's Walk America, a big event. A lot of folks from all over the area will be coming into Coastal Carolina University for this Saturday's Walk America. And we sure hope a lot of viewers who are tuning in today will get out there, pray for good weather. And, of course, Rigby Wilson, the general manager of this station, was with us yesterday, which was particularly exciting, a guy that I've been wanting to get on for a long time and did a great job, of course, talking about some of the exciting things in the area. Also, the Walk America this Saturday, he's on the local board. And, of course, to get you in, we've been trying to get you in for a while. There's a lot going on with a lot of notification to the public about the pandemic flu right now.
Yes, there sure is. This bird flu, too, is a little bit scary, and we'll talk more about that. But the pandemic flu is something everybody really needs to know a little bit about.
Yeah. Real quick about yourself, Fran. Are you originally from the area?
No, grew up in Texas and Kansas. Was born in Texas. But I've been in Horry County for 30 years, so I really consider myself almost a native.
Much more of a local, much more of a native than virtually anyone around. Yeah.
That's right. My father was a railroad worker, so we moved around a lot, and I prize that because I feel like I've learned a lot about different people, but I do love being in Horry County.
Oh, yes. Was there any place throughout the country that you spent most of your time prior to arriving to Horry County? I mean, growing up?
Growing up, most of the time was in Texas, up in the Panhandle, where it was pretty flat and windy and no trees. So, I really appreciate the terrain here and the beauty of the area.
Yes. Did you had you always thought about being involved in healthcare in one way or another, and nursing?
Yes, I sure did. I had a cousin that was a nurse, and she was older than I was, and I just looked at that white cap and white uniform, and I said, that's what I want to be.
Is that right?
And I held to that all my life, and I love being a nurse. Encourage others to think about the healthcare profession.
Absolutely, particularly in this area with a dearth of nurses and a real need for qualified nursing. It is really an area. I know Horry Georgetown Technical College is working hard, expanding the Robert E. Spears Center there on the former air base right next door to the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross.
Yes, I can't wait to look out my office window and see that hospital really look more like a hospital. Training more nurses and other healthcare professionals.
Oh, yeah. So you were located on the former Myrtle Beach Air Force Base, Fran?
The Red Cross chapter has been there several years. Right there by that old hospital.
It's a great location. Cathedral Academy right across the way there. For folks who may not be familiar with it, real easy to get to and to come by the office. And I know y'all are so much driven by, like yourself, volunteers that really help things happen. And if folks wanted to come by, it's so easy coming in off of where Ocean Boulevard ends, right there on 17 Business, and coming on in Faro Parkway and take that first left, and then follow it right over there to y'all's location. Is it on Pampas Drive?
I believe it is.
Yes, very easy to find. You just know how to get there.
I know how to get there. I'm not sure the name of that street, but yes, it is, because our address is Pampas Drive.
That's exactly right. If a viewer wanted to learn more and needs to get off to school now or get off to work, is there a good number for someone to call to learn more about the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross?
There sure is, and just 477-0020.
Okay.
And that opens you up to everything the Red Cross has to offer.
Sure.
And, we offer CPR classes, babysitting classes. We help people who have had fires. That's a major issue.
Yeah,
help people
absolutely.
get back on their feet. And then things like the Pandemic Flu Project and other things. But yes, they can call that number, 477-0020.
Does the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross also have a website, Fran?
Sure they do, with links to a lot of other organizations. But just www.coastalscarc.org.
.org, okay, not .com, but .org. Coastal SC, as in Coastal South Carolina, ARC, American Red Cross.
Exactly.
.org, very easy to get to. And I'm sure if they ended up at the Red Cross, the national site, or if they've ever been there, there's always links back to the Coastal South Carolina chapter. The other great thing I think you told me earlier before we began filming this morning was that there's a lot of information or links there to the pandemic flu.
Sure, there is. The National Red Cross has done a lot, too, on pandemic flu, developed training sessions and a lot of wonderful handouts that we utilize in our Speakers Bureau. But right there at coastalscarc.org, they can link right up to those national websites, pandemicflu.gov, and some of the others, and just get a lot of good information.
Yes, very definitely. Fran, I just noticed the color blue you're wearing is a little closer to Duke than UNC, but I think you've got a degree from a graduate degree or otherwise an extended degree there from UNC Chapel Hill.
Right. My public health graduate degree was from the Tar Heel School, University of North Carolina.
I think one of the oldest state universities, if not the oldest state university in the country.
Absolutely. And we just look at the sky, and say the sky is Carolina blue.
I know.
Duke is this darker shade.
It is. That may not even be quite as. So you're lucky not to be wearing Duke blue, but.
That's right. I like the Duke school too. Both schools have an excellent nursing program.
Oh yeah.
Very excellent, as well as many other programs.
And the medical schools at both institutions,
just
either top 10 or top 20 in the world.
Exactly.
Literally very well thought of.
Yes.
Did you ever think about when you got in and you knew you said that I guess it was your cousin who had the white outfit and the white hat. When you got into it, did you ever think about going further? I mean, wanted to be a doctor, wanted to do other things? I know. Really, as a nurse, you virtually do everything anyway.
Well, this day and age, women are encouraged to be anything, and I was too, but I never really thought about being a physician. I really wanted to be a nurse. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really sure, other than my cousin, what influenced me in that direction. Right. But still, I never regret not going on and doing something else. I think nursing was actually my calling. It's where I was supposed to be. And I've been so fulfilled with nursing, and I just encourage others, and especially, men and boys, because we don't have as many men and boys in the nursing profession as some others. And it's just a great opportunity for anyone interested in health or fitness or helping others, learning more about the human body and the way we all function, because we all are growing older, and sometimes we fall apart, and we all need to know how to take care of ourselves.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. Joe Fisher, who was with us on Monday from the March of Dimes, son is a nurse, is actually an Army nurse, and is overseas right now. And it's fascinating at another time hearing her talk about his training, and of course the real desire for the technical colleges in Coastal Carolina and the other schools, Francis Marion, in our area, to look for those opportunities to get to men and, as you say, boys and men interested in nursing as a career, because that giving side is clearly one that not only women have, they don't have a lock on that.
That's exactly right.
Guys have some good empathy and sympathy in them as well.
Absolutely. And we encourage people from all walks of life, shapes, kinds, races, backgrounds, because people get sick, everybody gets sick. So we just need a diverse population of nurses, and there's really a shortage, as everybody knows right now, of nurses. So it's a great profession. Speaking
of getting sick, fortunately, it looks like, in reading some of the info that you provided to help prepare for this morning's interview, the pandemic flu is something we're really worried about, but has not hit us just yet. But there's an expectation that it's going to have an impact. Prayer for the hopeful, no time soon, but at the same time, there's some serious issues. What exactly is the pandemic flu?
Well, that's a great question, because most of the time when I tell people I'm a speaker on the pandemic flu, they get this great question mark across their face like, so what? And then they change the subject.
Right. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to give you a chance to not change the subject
That
here.
is right. The pandemic flu is a real threat. It is a strain of the flu that we might not be immune to because it would be a new strain. And pandemics occur on the average about every 24 to 48 years, the pandemic influenza. And our last pandemic was in 1968. Most people don't even realize that.
68 to 69, yeah.
And that's been more than 24 years, and so we're very concerned that another flu strain, a new or novel flu strain, could break loose and cause an epidemic in one country and then a pandemic across the whole world. So that's the definition would be a flu strain that affects everybody across the whole world, the whole globe. And we would not be immune because it would be a new strain or novel strain.
Well, I saw that it looked like there were 3 different times during the 1900s that a pandemic hit. I saw that last time was literally almost 40 years ago. And so it sounds almost like it's time, which is scary to think about.
It is scary, and the thing that scares us the most is this flu called the bird flu or the avian flu. And you mentioned the 3 epidemics or pandemics, and the 1918 has been called the Great Influenza Pandemic. It happened to be a strain of the bird flu.
Is that right?
Yes, that's what makes us a little nervous, because the current strain of bird flu has been in the world since 1997, causing death to people. So the longer it remains alive and continues to infect people, then the more we get a little bit concerned that it could change and be able to be passed from human to human and then infect a lot of people.
Right, as opposed to currently from bird to human. I saw, was it around, how many folks have been impacted? It was a couple hundred, or?
The case report is really not that large. It's over 250 at this point.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
But out of that group, more than 50% have died. So that is the real concern, is that it's a very deadly strain of the flu.
Now, Fran, do you think they died because they didn't get medical treatment soon enough? Do you think they died because they were in countries other than North America where they just couldn't get adequate attention, or did they maybe even have better attention and still die?
That's one of the unfortunate things. There's really not much medically that can be done because we don't have a vaccine for this bird flu. We don't know exactly what form it would take if it changes and can be replicated and infect me, and then I can infect you. So it's just treatment with whatever people have available at the time. So I wouldn't say anybody didn't get enough treatment or wasn't hospitalized quickly enough. It moves very quickly. Some people have been infected, and then 2 to 3 days later, they've already died. It's just a very, very quick-moving virus. So,
who is doing research to help try to find a cure or to help come up with a vaccine there? Is that something the American Red Cross is helping?
Well, mainly the World Health Organization works with other health organizations around the world. And yes, there is a vaccine being developed right now to match that current strain. So the hope is that if that bug changes enough to be passed from me to you and to other people, then the vaccine that's available now maybe could be just changed slightly and would be useful. It's kind of a long process to make a vaccine. And
I was about to ask what is involved therein.
Well, what they really do, the World Health Organization tests people who are sick. So if I had the flu, they might take some blood from me, test it. In that way, they can make up a recipe to match the flu strain. And this is exactly how they make the yearly flu shot that we all hopefully take or should take.
As well, sure.
But then they match that. But it takes about 4 to 6 months for the drug companies to make the vaccine. They have to grow it in a protein media, and they have to watch it, and it's very complicated. So if the bird flu broke out today and was able to be passed from person to person, it would be about 4 months before the actual vaccine could match the same strain. So we would have to rely on other measures.
What are some of the things that people could do, Fran, or back, if you even thinking back to the 68, 69 when a pandemic was out, what are some of the things that folks did then? What are some of the things people do 40 years later today to, are there any projections as to how people would handle it?
Well, basic good health measures is
Right.
really what we want to teach people. And in the Speakers Bureau, the two of us nurses that work in that bureau and go out and talk to groups, we talk about things that people can do. But most important, first thing, is wash these 10 fingers.
Oh, wow, yeah. If you got 10, wash them, yeah.
Wash whatever you've got.
Right.
The hand washing is really the very best defense, really against almost all kinds of illnesses, but
Right.
certainly against the flu, because we pass it on a lot of times from my hand to yours. You know,
Yes.
if I stick my hand out to shake yours, you probably
Well, I'm glad
shake
I
it.
didn't shake. No, I'm kidding.
And
You're
then-
glad I didn't.
Then we touch our face or our nose or eyes, and lo and
Oh,
behold, a couple of
yeah.
days later, we're sick with the flu. So the pandemic flu would be passed on the very same way. So the first thing we say is wash those hands,
Right.
and then cover your cough. Have you heard that?
Oh, yeah.
That's the new campaign. Cover your cough means throw your sleeve up there and cough in your sleeve.
That's right. I noticed some folks have taught my daughter that. It didn't come out of me, but or her mother. It was fascinating to see her recently cough and put her arm up.
So that prevents us from coughing on our hands and then
Right.
immediately touching someone or the doorknob, and then you come right behind me and touch that doorknob, and
Right.
boom, you've got those germs on your hands.
Uh-huh.
So those hand washing, cover your cough, and sneeze.
And when we, real quick, Fran, not to jump in, but when we wash our hands, does it need to get really hot water? Do we have to use soap, or is it good water in and of itself take the germs off? Or?
Well, that's a great question. It's the friction on our hands that really kills those germs.
Okay.
We can't quite rub our hands together fast enough to kill those bugs without a little help. So a little bit of soap or
Okay.
alcohol. Alcohol gel is one of the best inventions recently.
So those gels are okay?
They
Yeah.
really work.
Wow.
You just have to remember to, we say 15 seconds, sing the happy birthday song or something else. But if you can rub your hands together for 15 seconds, lather up, especially pay attention to the fingertips.
Oh, good.
That's the best thing you can do. So keep a little alcohol gel in your coat pocket, the little travel,
Right.
and on your desk, and at home in several rooms, and teach your family to use that gel in between hand washing with soap and water.
And to the best of your knowledge, those gels don't do anything negative over time. They don't take off some of your good protective layers or otherwise.
That's a great question, and people are concerned about resistance too.
Right.
But we recommend the alcohol gel. The
Okay.
alcohol gel will not do any harm. It will not create a resistance problem. There
Okay.
are some gels out there that may say antibacterial or made with something other than alcohol.
Right.
Really, the alcohol gels are the best.
Okay.
Even plain rubbing alcohol will work too.
Good. Okay, that may be a funny smell on your hands in the office, but at the
That's
same
right.
time, the alcohol gels, and this information would also be at coastalscarc.org
Yes.
if someone went there or called your office. Again, if they had to get off right now and couldn't hear the next few minutes, they could still go to your website. There's a lot of great information there.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, okay. You know, and you stress the pandemic, and this could really, on the avian strain there, currently, has anyone in America been affected? You may have just answered that a minute ago, but...
Well, that's a good question, too. No, we haven't had any cases of the avian or bird flu in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty safe in the United States, actually very safe in terms of our poultry industry, and you can't get it from eating chicken or turkey or any other kind of fowl. So our poultry industry is just top-notch and is safe. But if we traveled to some of the countries where the bird flu was, and we had close contact with birds, meaning very close contact, holding or plucking or whatever, then we could get exposed to the pandemic, to the bird flu, excuse me, in those countries where it is now active.
And what are some of those countries, Fran? Not to cause a scare if someone has a planned trip, but what are
Sure.
some of those countries that people need to be real sensitive about?
Right, Asia, Europe, even some of the Middle East,
Right.
countries, but Indonesia specifically, Vietnam, even Iraq, Iran,
Is that right?
Turkey.
That's where the 250 causes or 250 incidences have occurred in those
right,
countries.
all in those areas, Hong
Right.
Kong, Egypt, all in that general area.
Boy, that is very serious. What are they doing? Of course, the World Health Organization What are some of the things they're doing to get the message across? I mean, they're clearly at a point where they must be promoting this heavy. I guess their Speakers Bureau is probably a pretty pretty big group there.
It is. I think they are trying to educate the people, but in those countries, people live much closer, some of those countries, than we do, and they live very close to their animals. Some people, you know, live almost in the same building with chickens and pigs, and that's necessary for the family to have food to eat on the table. And then the children right there play with the birds, play with the pigs, and we pass those germs back and forth, especially flu germs, influenza germs, with those animals. And so it's very difficult to say to a family in Egypt, say, you know, you can't have these birds this close anymore. That may be their evening meal.
Wow.
So it's a lot more difficult than in our situation, where most people here go to the supermarket and purchase their food, and they don't live in the same room with their chickens and ducks and pigs.
That's very important. I'm sure glad you shared that, because that would be of concern to think about. And in that instance, it's while the bird is still alive that it can spread. When it's cooked and ready for meal serving, it can impact the entire family, can it?
That's right.
Okay.
And just as we pass our bugs along to each other by touching or sneezing or coughing, really the birds do too.
Yeah.
The same germs are in the bird's saliva. Also, it's in the bird's gut or intestinal tract, so they can spread it that way. We humans do not spread flu that way.
Right.
So the birds have I guess, a triple way of spreading that bug, and then people that handle the bird, you can't really keep from touching the beak and touching other parts of the bird that might be infected when you're preparing it for the meal. But once it's on the table, those germs are gone. So
no real worry after it gets there, but clearly a lot of worries in those settings where the people are living in such close contact to the birds there and other animals. And I guess the health organization is not yet sure if it goes beyond birds, or are they positive that it can only, are they worried that it can go to other animals?
Oh, yes, the bird flu can infect other animals. In fact, one of the earlier cases of deaths was in Thailand, in a lion and a tiger who
Is that right?
were fed raw chicken or raw fowl of some kind, and were dead a couple of days later in their cages.
Is that right?
So other animals can be infected with the bird flu.
It is fascinating how medicine can get that so quickly that after a couple of days they could figure out this tiger has died. I'm sure it took a little bit of time to figure it out, but to take it all the way back to something they ate, it's incredible how medicine works.
It is. It's wonderful, isn't it?
It is wonderful. It reminds us of higher beings, of course, of special. When we think about germs ourselves, how long can the flu germ stay on our hands, Fran? If interacting with adults or children or otherwise, how long should we be concerned about?
Well, of course, immediately after contamination with a sneeze or a cough, or even like cleaning a child's nose or mouth, the bugs are much more active. Over time, of course, they're going to die. And then things that affect the death of those bugs would be heat and friction from rubbing and the alcohol, those kinds of things. Certainly, those germs are gone within days. We're not really sure exactly how long, but minutes and hours, yes, they're still alive and well. And our hands are a great breeding ground for those germs. They're moist, and they're touching a lot of different things. So, boy, that's why hand washing is just so important, so very important.
I'm sure glad you shared those the simple aspects there, Fran. Thank you so much for coming in to be with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Fran Long coming up next. Isn't it apropos to be in a wellness and fitness center when we're thinking about issues that can impact us? Our daily lives. You heard Fran talking about it, how special it was seeing that cousin wearing the white dress and the white hat, wanting to be just like her. But it wasn't just to wear a white dress and a white hat. It was to care for others, to make a difference in their lives, from youth of all ages to adults of all ages, constantly recognizing their needs we have. It can be as simple as giving a handshake or touching your eye and then touching someone else, the flu can spread. And the pandemic flu, a pandemic flu could actually spread and impact not only the 250 folks that the pandemic's affected up to now, infected, but many, many, many more, many millions of people. Think about it. You can make a difference by going online to coastalscarc.org and just being brought up to date with the issues, or you can pick up the phone and call 843-477-0020. Making a difference. You heard her say it.